G'day guys, it's Stephen here, and I'm here with Ryan,
Hey guys.
and welcome to the 10th Macrocosm podcast. Like you said before, I think we should have done like a, anniversary thing or something. 10
I think so.
episodes.
10 episodes. We're not counting all the practice ones, but
No.
yeah, 10 episodes. And it's already going so quick. That's 10 weeks.
Wow.
Bloody hell.
All right, well, today we're going to discuss the movie The Revenant.
Mm.
And after, we're going to talk about some movie terms, like what they use, what the cinematographers and stuff use.
Yeah, the lingo.
Yeah. So we're all up to date with it. All right, so let's do The Revenant first. So you want to give us a brief description?
All right, I'll give that a whirl. It's so we got Hugh Glass, a frontiersman on a fur trading expedition in the 1820s, fights for survival after being mauled by a bear and being left for dead by members of his own hunting team. Grief-stricken and fueled by vengeance, Glass treks through the wintry terrain to track down John Fitzgerald, who betrayed and abandoned him. So yeah, that's a nice bloody storyline right there.
Yeah, fucking John.
Let's just change a few of those names and we're watching Law Abiding Citizen.
That's right. Did we have a John in there?
I think there was a John. There was definitely a John. John was it? Oh no, he was Clyde. I know he was.
Who was the
main
lawyer?
ghost
Was
guy.
the lawyer John?
I'll find out right bloody now.
We have to know now. I feel like there was a John.
It was Nick Rice. No Johns.
No
We're
Johns.
trying to connect it.
Trying too hard.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the first time all my notes fit on one page.
No.
What about you?
It's because it was. Yeah. No, it's about the same. I mean, until I added the description and some of my.
Oh yeah, no,
like-
I meant just the note, like the opinions part. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. It's the first time that it's not been. Maybe it's because I was so enthralled in the journey, so that like I didn't have time to, or maybe, or I wonder.
Well, I don't think like it's a 2.5 hour movie, but I don't think like a lot of it is more of cinematic stuff, like him walking through the forest, or
you're witnessing a scene.
Yeah, and it's not important to. It's not like a plot point. It's not like. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
Whereas,
know.
like, I'm thinking back on ones where we've had the most notes, let's say Sherlock Holmes, where it is very plot-driven, dialogue. Oh, that's funny. Oh, we love how he reacts together with him when he said that. You know, it was a lot of those things. Whereas this is a much more, twists and exactly. But this is like very straightforward.
Well, there was a small twist towards the end of this one.
A little bit, yeah.
Like when he's, what does he do? He's on the horse. And he has the dead captain on the horse in front of him sitting up.
Yeah.
And he's behind laying down the other horse pretending to be dead. I didn't realize that's what was happening until...
I didn't either. I was unsuspecting.
I literally thought Hugh got shot. Literally,
you're like,
thought,
well,
no.
what a bloody ending.
No, I was thinking, oh, well, he's not dead though. He's hurt.
Yeah. Imagine if that was the end credit scene, like just bang, he drops and then the credits roll and you're like, what? No.
And I thought when he was laying on the ground, I go, oh yeah, he's playing dead. And I thought all this was like, no.
That's what I thought. I'm like, act wounded. You heard a gunshot, pretend so that he comes down to check. Yeah. But we were wrong. We're both wrong. Yeah. He said it was based on a true story, and I'm like, fucking loosely based, I bet.
I had a quick look at that, and I think the truth is, like, he didn't have a wife and kids. So he was a real person.
Okay.
He was a ranger or something. They were out in the bushes. I think he got attacked by a bear, and then his mates left him for dead.
Yeah, okay. So the idea is that main idea is real. Like, or is based in truth.
And then he was kind of pissed off, so I think he went and found them. I don't know if he killed them or not, but I'm pretty sure he definitely went to try and find them after they.
It's practically a folklore tale. And they're like, there was this hunter, like, oh yeah, bloody hell, Hughes or whatever.
Originally, I think it was
Hugh
like
Glass.
It was like a song, like a folk song about that person.
Okay.
And then and there's some truth behind that. And then,
they've expanded it into a movie. Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
No, it's fine. That's okay. That's when nothing downfall in the movie. It's
No.
just like don't put based on go like
well, they don't say.
it doesn't say it in the
No.
movie that it's based. You're right. No, you're right. It's just, other people have said, and you kind of know that outside of the film already. But that's me
Yeah.
coming into the movie with these sort of things already. That's not good. I shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, I didn't know until after. So yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't do any research till after.
All right.
Yeah.
So I think we should start off how bloody immersive the movie is. So it opens up with them doing a hunting scene, like you can hear the stream, the birds chirping.
Now with that stream, because like they're in the forest or whatever, aren't they?
Yeah.
And it's like, is that melted ice water? Or what is that water that's going through the forest? Was that real or did they add that? Like,
yeah, I wonder where it came from.
Like,
my guess would be melted ice water, but
do you reckon when they filmed it though, that there was actually that water running through there, or they flooded
or they
the
brought
area?
that in? Maybe they had a truck parked like a K away, just letting out a couple 100 liters a minute.
Because I did read in some of the trivia stuff that they were behind schedule, and the snow started melting during the location shoot. So I wonder if that's from that.
Which would be pretty handy. Imagine if that whole first scene was like an afterthought. They're like at the end of the recording, like they finished most of the trek, and then they decided to like, oh, we got this stream. Oh, it's beautiful out here. You know what would be good?
And so also because they're behind schedule, they ended up relocating to southern Argentina where it was still wintry. So I guess the snow and everything.
That would be bloody annoying having to move that many people, because I can imagine it'd be like a team of at least a couple 100 people, like just with the filming, not the transporting of the goods, just the filming, and then there's all the people on top of that, like moving all them to somewhere. Yeah, that's gotta be a pain in the fucking ass.
Yeah. But just before that forest scene though, isn't there a scene where you see the boy and the mother, and isn't that right at the start? I
think so. No, I was just more talking with how immersive. I just start off on that note.
Yeah, and there's a phrase that they say there that they keep saying throughout the movie was, as long as you can still grab a breath, you fight, you breathe, keep breathing. And that's mentioned a couple times.
Fucking oath, mate.
So that's his whole mantra of, as long as you're still breathing, you need to fight.
There's your mantra, mate. Keep that tucked away.
Yeah, that's me as well. But yeah.
No, that's not just for you, but definitely for you. But I can see that helping anyone. That's a powerful little statement phrase for someone.
It's like, don't give up. Just because you're hurt or whatever, don't give up. You're still breathing. You're still alive. So
yeah, there's still a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I didn't know at the start. I'm thinking like, was the whole family killed, or was it? I think it was just the wife. Well, obviously it was just the wife.
It was just the wife, and then his son had burns to his face.
Yeah.
From the fires of the village or whatever.
So what happened? Did white people come and try and kill him? Or?
I think because they were a dirty village or something. I think they mentioned something about that. Mixed. Something along those lines.
Because he's like white and they're like indigenous.
Yeah, indigenous. They were Native Americans.
Yeah.
They were they did mention what people. God damn it. I thought I wrote that down.
Because there was a couple of... Because Leonardo DiCaprio had to learn 2 different languages. Pawnee and Arikara are the 2 languages.
That's what I wrote down. Where is that? I'm going to have to search it fine. It's in that note there.
The 2 Native American languages that are in the movie.
Yeah, okay.
So Leonardo had to learn.
It's crazy that he learned them. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, you're getting paid like 20 odd million, so you better fucking learn the language.
Yeah,
man.
I don't know if he probably doesn't speak it fluently, but
no. But he would have sat with a speech specialist to say, no, don't say it like this. Pronounce it like that with your tongue over here, like to actually get the sounds correct. At least, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you just learn a few phrases and do what every other dude does. Just learn the swear words. I need to know them. Need to get them down pat. So I can then teach everyone else. Yeah, that's all you need.
So also, this is I thought might have been something we could talk about. Was again, this is another example of humans taking more than they need. Like they're obviously hunting pelts. So let's kill every animal in sight.
Let's find every bison.
Let's kill them all. Like what the fuck?
Let's stack them up till we can't see over the top of the hill of the bison skulls. That's pretty bad, man. It's like I remember I think I was like in primary school sometime, and I used to love those ice creams, those Buffalo Bills, you know, like Buffalo Bills or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And you got the bubble gum nose,
yeah.
right? And then I remember reading about Buffalo Bill, like they, you know, and he's like this fucking, you know, he was a frontiersman too, but that's all they did. They just kept stacking them up and getting piles and piles of bloody skulls like bison and, you know, buffalo skulls and
whatever shit. Other animals, yeah.
And you're like, what were they doing, man? They were just raping the land, just devastating it. It's crazy. But you understand, like when there's profit, there's greed kind of thing. So,
but at least back then there were less people on the earth.
Yeah, I know. But now we just change bloody ecosystems like with the click of a button.
So we like just take all the fish out of the ocean, like just get rid of all the fish. There we go. Don't eat anymore. God, we have no more fish to eat. Where did it all go?
We only all evolved together. Why would we need each other? No. Get rid of them. Fuck them.
Stupid humans.
Oh, fucking. It's a shame that my favorite ones are also humans. Like it's a fucking. There's such a dark patch on them.
Should we transcend to not humans? We should evolve past humans to something else and leave all the shit ones behind.
There's some crazy drugs out there that make you feel like you have transcended. Oh, I can assure you that.
Yeah, I know, but that's an altered state, though.
Altered state, or is it a returning home?
Well, who knows? Maybe we are just dreaming right now, and that's the reality.
We are but a receiver to a signal, and we think we are here, but we're actually the signal from somewhere else.
Or are we just in a simulation? What?
Yeah, no, it's that one. God. I think simulation. Too many coincidences. I'm just like, no, this place was made for me to laugh at. I know it.
We're actually inside Facebook. And
and they're the matrix. They're the system. We're plugged into the fucking. Why did you make me watch Social Dilemma, Stephen?
Yeah, just like those guys behind the scenes,
dude. That's the blue pill. That's the red or blue pill. You either watch Social Dilemma and you wake up, or you don't. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, that's amazing. That was a good doco. Everyone, go watch that.
Yeah, that is good actually. It's good to just understand what they can do, not so much just to be educated about what you're using.
And to understand why it is, like, you think it's a free app, but you don't understand the price of their, like, it's maybe free to you.
It appears free.
Yeah, exactly. It appears free.
But you're signing your soul away. Anyway, so
back to the movie.
Right before that, the first like brutal scene, that battle.
Yep.
At least at the start of it, I noticed like his gun was out of bullets or whatever, so he picked it up and used it as a club.
Yeah, that's pretty logical. That's
exactly what you would do.
Yeah, you would know. Yeah, you use anything to your advantage.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And then obviously he tries to hit the guy and misses,
but just quickly back. The attempt, exactly. That's all that's necessary sometimes. Just back, like leading up to that scene, as well as like, you know, they're walking through the forest. You can hear the twigs, the birds chirping and everything. Then they have that conversation.
Oh yeah, because there's with the sun. Yeah.
Yeah, with the sun, and you know, it was obviously showing that the sun isn't respected in the group.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden, as you said, the invasion. There's like a brutal neck arrow, like the arrow just pierces the neck, and that I jumped. I fucking jumped hard. I was like, "Hey, Jesus Christ!" Was not prepared for that.
Because it was all like tranquil, and then suddenly bang.
Dude, tranquility. That's the perfect word. Tranquility. It was just you couldn't have pictured a better place to set up camp.
Everyone was happy. Everyone was talking. Nothing was wrong. and
But
thick.
then, but I also like how quickly they all prepared for battle. Like,
Yeah, well, they
like
got it.
as
Yeah.
they would be. They would have their guns at their side. Absolutely.
Well, it is
Like this all
America.
makes sense.
Is it America? Where are they?
Yeah, it's in America. Yeah,
Yeah.
well, we just talked about Native Americans.
Oh, yeah, fuck. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Not that they like to be called that. The indigenous, I apologize.
I don't know. Yeah.
Each tribe is their own. I agree with that. Yeah, but I'm unaware.
Yeah, we're uneducated.
Yeah. Now, this is when I think this is a pretty good time to talk about how one of the trivia things, how only 100% natural lighting was used throughout the making of this film.
Well,
let's just take a moment to like, what the fuck that's crazy.
They did cheat a little bit at one point, but it was still reasonable.
All right. Let's go 99%.
yeah, very
because
close.
I know they used fire and stuff, so that's kind of artificial, but I would count that as natural. So
I read somewhere that it might have been the same trivia bit, but the
probably
even the fires that was still natural, but for one of the scenes with the fire is flickering too much, so they had to put light underneath it.
But
that was only for like one fire in the whole movie. So
I think they did the effort so that they exactly. Like, they did the effort for the rest of the movie, and in time of need they used a thing to try and emphasize something. Go for it, do it. I think they did the right thing. But that's just magnificent throughout the whole thing. Like,
no, fantastic.
I ended up, after reading that, after watching it, I went back and watched that little hunt scene right at the beginning, and I'm like, oh my God, no wonder it looks real, because this is a nature nature documentary. It's a bloody, it may as well be, because
the way they filmed it,
And
but you
now
also now that means the rays of light coming through the trees and the the lens flare, that must have all been legit.
Now, I wonder, my only thing is, I wonder how much of the audio is added in after the fact. You know what I mean? Like, how much of like, them walking through actually there, then and there, when they're walking through, are they actually recording those sounds? The birds, the this, the that?
Because they have to get the footsteps right. So they have to get the mic really close to the ground. Yeah. And then you would see it.
So they probably just record 100 generic footstep sounds, and then shuffle them.
I would say that they probably do record them on set though. They probably go through when the actors aren't there and record sounds of the same ground.
No, you're right. They would go and all right, now walk over it, and we're going to have the microphones down here.
Yeah, maybe not just the actors, but anyone.
Yeah, just to get separate. To get that at least that terrain, that sound of their I get that.
Yeah, I don't know how much of the sounds would have been picked up from that actual scene or filmed after or earlier or in the studio. Yeah, I don't know.
It was, I think they did such a good job though. Just the like what you said just before, I think it comes to mind the most is the sun cutting through the tree leaves.
And also another thing I noticed straight away was how clear the image was. It didn't have that hazy Hollywood, because Hollywood do a lot of that hazy sort of to give more depth to the image and for
I've never understood that, because it doesn't, to me, what it feels like it gives more blurriness. You know what I mean? There's less information on the screen now because you've covered it up with a fuzz.
The haze or the fuzz or whatever,
Yeah.
I mean, what it does do, it gives more depth to the image, but sometimes you want clarity though. And I think they did the perfect balance in this. It was a nice, clear, crisp, nature documentary sort of.
It really was, man.
Not quite as bright colours as a nature documentary.
No, it felt more nitty-gritty nature documentary. That's what I was picturing almost like a Survivor documentary where a guy's holding the camera, or at least he's got it attached to his chest or whatever, you know what I mean? But you're almost witnessing it.
Imagine if it was a bright, colourful, bloody movie. It would be so weird. It really does make a difference how they do colour.
Yeah. I think that's why, again, that's why it makes it feel so immersive, is that it's so different to the normal what you used to. Every 1 minute in a movie is almost a new scene. Like,
Yeah.
but whereas this was like stretched out, you're along for the journey. You're really feeling what it's like to trudge through those, the swamp or wherever he's at,
And also, towards the end of that first brutal fight scene with the blood going everywhere, and
Yeah,
it was so good.
yeah, blood everywhere.
But towards the end, they kind of faded out all the background sounds except the music. So everything was faded out except the intense music. Like it was muffled, like the people have been stunned from battle,
I was about to say, it's like a concussion grenade went off or something. Yeah, shell shock, exactly. Where it's like, woo, like, yeah, it's everything else is muffled and is now the intensity of the music.
And that was quite immersive too. It was like, yeah, that's what happened. You would lose focus of everything that's not important would be out of focus.
Yeah, because your brain's like fight or flight. You need to pay attention to this, not that. This. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so just after that, I remember thinking, because you meet John, or you see a bit more about John, and I'm like, oh, he's going to be such a pain in the ass.
You just know straight away,
such a
mate.
pain in the ass. And he's played by Tom Hardy.
You called him Tom, though.
John. Did I say Tom?
Well, I may have heard Tom, but yeah, no, it's John.
Like
John Fitzgerald.
John, but yeah.
You probably did. I'm probably wrong.
So we got, Hugh Glass is Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, bloody Leo.
John Fitzgerald is Tom Hardy. And I don't have the actors' names for the other ones. We got.
Well, I mean, I think one other person is worth or two. All right, so we got the Captain Andrew Henry, and he's played by Domhnall Gleeson. I want to mention him because he's out of Ex Machina, and I fucking love that. He's also out of one of the episodes of Black Mirror. He's an excellent actor. But also that Will Poulter, the king of eyebrows. What's his name? Out of the Maze Runner and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know his name.
Nah, he was excellent in this too. The few words he had spoken were bloody awesome.
His character was Jim Bridger.
Yeah,
was the character, and I've got he is because I didn't know the actor's name. I just wrote good lad.
Good lad. Yeah,
he's a good lad.
Well, at first, when I first wrote the notes for the captain, I was like, the ginger captain is like my favorite character.
Yeah, I like him.
And then afterwards, I went back and put in the whole because I know him. Like I was like, he's out of Ex Machina, and what else was he? Yeah, so I needed to know his name. We need to mention it. Like they're just so good in this. Everyone was superb, including Tom Hardy, because I fucking hated his character. He did it so well.
I don't recognize the director, but I guess he would have helped out keeping them on track and doing enough takes to let them get their emotion out, or to get that
I'm pretty
across.
sure I read on one of the trivia things how maybe
and Leonardo DiCaprio is a great actor anyway, so
definitely, but I saw something about he didn't want it on set because it would make the actors feel comfortable or something along those lines.
Okay,
does that ring a bell to you?
No, I didn't read.
No, he said something about if it was in front of a green screen, they would feel like, and we're all drinking coffees and smiling, you wouldn't get the misery or something like that.
Yeah, they didn't use green screen at all, did they? Pretty sure they didn't use any green screen because they didn't want it. And that shows too,
It's, well, that definitely, everything is real in the background. Whether or not they placed an extra bush there or whatever, but everything's actually practical there.
Do you remember the next bit? Are you ready for are you traumatized and you deleted that from your memory, or?
I'm ready for the next bit.
You ready for the?
Yes. So this is the bear attack scene, I'm guessing you're referencing.
I started it so well.
I like how he's like, he went off he was going to walk ahead and check to see the path is clear, like a tracker would kind of thing. It seemed quite reasonable.
Straight away, I'm like, oh shit, he's alone. Uh-oh.
Yeah, here we go.
No, horror movie.
The bloody, the natives are coming, something's about to go down.
Bad.
And now obviously everyone knows about the bear attack scene in The Revenant. Yeah. I was like, all right, so that's probably what's about to happen. That's what's about why can I hear it? There's got to be bear steps. Something. I'm listening for like a grunt, like a or something.
And they show the cubs. See the cubs. That is so good. And then straight away, I'm like, oh dear. Where's Mama? She's not going to be happy.
What do you reckon? If you see bear cubs, do you just like hide and be as small as possible, make sure nothing else can see you, and hopefully they don't then see you and lead the mum to you? Like,
He didn't have any time.
Yeah, obviously he didn't have time. You're right. You're right.
And
he's a professional tracker.
Yeah.
I'm gonna die. Yeah. I'm just gonna rub bacon all over me and attract them quicker. That's what I'll do.
And so just as it happens, like you see the bear cubs, so the camera like. What does it do? You see the bear cubs. The camera does a weird, like, 360 thing.
Where it, like follows his body kind of thing.
Goes around Leonardo, what's his name? Hugh.
We can call him Leo. It's all right, Leo.
It goes, like, around him. You see the cubs. Then you see his face.
Yep.
And then it keeps going around, and you end up seeing the bear behind him.
It essentially it gives you like a 360 view of the scene.
And they
like
do that a lot.
It's a bloody like a craft right there.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like an art. It's I couldn't imagine being like trying to get the proper movement to achieve what you're seeing in your own head to go like, no, I need the camera to do a tighter circle around there, but then open up more over here. You know, like that is just it's an art. The
way they reveal the bear cubs, then his face, and then the bear behind him.
Just fucking,
it flows so nicely. And
you get that real shock of like, oh, bear cubs. He's now attentive for mama. And then you see mama behind him. And you're like, oh, no.
And how brutal is it, though? Just fucking.
And then like his body. I remember seeing before I saw the movie, seeing the setup, how they actually had him on the little plate, like a mounted plate thing, lifting up and down and moving him.
Oh, yeah.
And like the filming of that must have been so weird to do it without the bear.
I know, how good acting to do it without a bear there. Like.
And like where do you look? Where is its eyes? Like, not that you're looking out for its eyes, you're looking out for its claws, but whatever, you know what I mean? Like, that must have been intense plus odd, you know, like if I can equate it to like, you know, probably everyone would understand seeing the actors in Game of Thrones touching a bloody green doll, but it's a dragon. They've got to know it's a dragon, and they're acting as if it's a dragon, but they're actually talking to a green blob, and it's like to try and wrap your mind around that and actually get through it without just laughing and thinking this is stupid is like, it's not in my repertoire. I can't do that.
But how good of an actor like you are to be able to act when you can't see what you're acting against, you know?
Yeah, you've got nothing coming back at you to respond to.
Not even a person, not even.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do have people as well, but like, I would think so good acting on his part to do that. I guess the director helps too. Is like,
absolutely,
look more angry or look more sad, or you know, get that feedback,
and then when the guys finally find him, I love that scene.
So also they're back on the bear. So the bear goes off, leaves him, and then he goes to get his gun.
Yeah,
and the bear sort of comes back and looks at him. Do you think he should have shot it, or do you think he should have done nothing? If you did nothing, do you think the bear would have gone away? Or?
I think if he'd stayed and played dead, it would have gone away because the bear's just thinking, protect my cubs. Like, it's not.
Yeah.
It wasn't thinking of, I'm hungry, I got to feed my cubs. It's, you know, so.
And also when it like stands on him and then it like pushes on his hips and like breaks his hips.
Yeah,
like, oh my God, like it's like it's giving him CPR or something.
Yeah. The bear's trying to save him. The bear's like, I'm so sorry. I freaked out. I thought my cubs were under attack. I'm trying to come back to me.
Is your heart in your hips? Push down there. That would hurt so much.
That would be
like heavy as hell. Like how heavy?
They're so I was about to say 1,000 kilos or something, yeah.
Jesus, that would
obviously depends on the size, but yeah.
Yeah, that would be so. He would have been so sore. Surprised he wasn't unconscious after that.
But then how long do you reckon he was stuck there after he, you know, drove the knife in? How long do you reckon he was stuck underneath the bear?
Well, I mean, because the others heard the gunshot, so they came straight away. But as to how far away they were, or I don't know, it wouldn't have been too long, maybe 10, 15 minutes.
for some reason I thought he was left there, like, because he went early morning.
Yeah,
I kind of pictured he was there for like 3 hours. You know what I mean? Like, maybe not that long, but like I was like, any amount of time over, like you said, the 5 to 15 minute range is like they're seconds till death kind of thing, and like just being able to survive there underneath this big ass, like, I don't know, truck sitting on you. Yeah. And like it's so heavy you can't breathe. You're like, oh, it'd be fucking terrible.
And then so when they get to him, I noticed a few times, like, you see the wound on his back, but it didn't look quite right to me. It looked like you could tell it was prosthetics, or you could tell
kind of looks
wasn't
plasticky.
Like it was rubbery or silicone, or didn't look like real skin. But I mean, like, you don't want to really hurt him, so
yeah, not that we know what a real bear laceration looks like. So maybe our notion of what that is wrong kind of thing.
Maybe that was accurate, but
I agree with you, and that could have been the best that they could achieve on set, like out there in the woods, maybe. Like, I don't know, like, but I did pick up on that too, thinking it was a bit plasticky.
Only on his back, though. Only on his back.
Specifically when he turned over and they looked at the wound. So they drag him back and wash everything down, and
and then don't they? So they clean him all up, and then they're trying to take him with them, aren't they?
Yeah, they were going to take him with him. They get a fair distance, but then they're like, "This is just not going to happen. You guys go. We'll stay back with him." And that's
So they're going up the mountain there, and the captain's like, "All right, 2 of you or 3 of you need to stay back and stay with him until he dies."
Yeah,
and I'm like, and he's like, "All right, just wait. Once he's dead, then give him a proper burial. All this shit." I'm like, I think John's going to just bury him alive. Like,
I think,
fucking hell, why are you sending John back?
Why does he trust that guy? I wonder why the captain's, I guess maybe because he's been loyal this far.
He's never given reason to.
Yeah, even though he has all those feelings underneath, he just, he hasn't
didn't trust
given him reason yet.
This fucking John.
Man.
Fuck.
Yeah, that's literally, I was like, well, I mean, that's coming up right about now anyway. We're talking about it. I was like, fuck Tom Hardy's character for convincing the young man to leave Leo behind is the right thing to do. He convinced him that. He was like, no, we got to do it. And it's like, that's so manipulative. He's bloody, this guy, this poor dude, like the young man, the lad, he's like Captain Eyebrows. He was like he's so trying, he's eager. He's a young lad. He's trying to prove himself.
Yeah.
And then here's this fucking asshole like saying the bad thing is the right thing to do kind of thing. Oh,
so let's just go back a little bit there. So they're all together with Hugh.
Yep, and his son.
And so the son goes off to the water, to the lake or whatever, and he's there. And what happened to Jim? He's gone somewhere else.
He's probably gone to do something along the lines of refill something.
So it's just Hugh and John, and Hugh comes up to him and he's like,
"Give me a sign."
Yeah, like, if you want me to end your suffering, blink. And he says it like twice. Yeah. And I'm like, what, you're just going to stay there until you can't help but blink?
I know, right? Like, that'll be a natural thing. He's hoping he's doing the right thing. You know what I mean? But he's not. He's being an asshole.
Not like this when he blinked twice. Not fucking blink.
Yeah.
You can't not blink. What the fuck?
Blink 3 times consecutively and I'll do this.
and then he obviously, like, do you think the character Hugh, do you think he blinked because he wanted his suffering to end? Or do you think he just blinked, like, because it looked like he blinked on purpose?
I thought it was more like, it looked like he was obviously not blinking. He was like holding his eyes open like so intensely and looked at him and he's like,
and then he eventually blinked.
And then he eventually had to blink is what I felt like it was. And then that's when he just jumped on and straight away tried to. And then obviously the
boy comes.
The boys comes and we know how bloody John doesn't like the natives already from the other words he said earlier in the movie. So he ends up bloody stabbing him. And poor Leo is looking over at his son getting murdered can't protect him, can't help him. And that's when I thought of law-abiding citizen. I'm like, God
the
damn
revenge.
it.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy shit, he's there. He's like tied up. He's, oh no. This is terrifying.
At least he didn't rape him. That's one better thing about it. But yeah.
That's absolutely true, yeah.
But
That's
still
one
dying
positive.
is still not great.
But the helplessness, he's like got a broken back, he can't even get up. And now he's got a bloody, fuck that.
And again, I think he hears the voice of his wife or whatever, and again, someone says,
as long as you have breath or whatever.
Yeah, fight, keep breathing, etc.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool. So then Jim comes back and he's like, where's the boy gone? I don't know where he is. And then John's like, he must be somewhere, whatever.
Just whatever, shrug it off. Who cares?
And so obviously Leo's throat got cut by the bear, so he can't talk.
Yeah.
And I thought that's just so good. He can't warn Jim. He's trying to warn Jim, but he can't because he can't talk.
Yeah.
And like, how good is that? Like, that thought in the story that because the bear attacked him, he can't talk, and now he can't warn him.
Now he can't warn him. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like it's all connected, you know? It was.
Yeah.
I thought that was very clever and cool.
It's a smart way to achieve that, to give you a bit more of like, no, he's right there. He's the bad guy. The cooler is coming from inside the house kind of thing, you know, like, come on, get him.
And now it's like, right, so instead of giving up on living, now this revenge is going to keep him alive.
Yeah.
Like, he's got to live to
this is the fuel to his fire. Yeah.
Exactly. And then, of course, you know, Jim and John are off. They leave. What happens? He says.
Well, he convinces him to leave
because the natives are coming or something.
Yeah, he's like, this is the right thing to do. They buried him alive. But then the nice lad, he
left in the
bridges.
Water.
He leaves him a canter. I think that's what they call him. Whatever
canteen or whatever. Yeah,
canteen of water, and that's a nice little move there. He's like hoping he survives at least a little bit longer. I was kind of picturing him like, oh man, he should have left him like a little bit of alcohol or something. Finish the job off in a happy place.
And so John and Jim are in a camp somewhere because they left, and they're sitting there, and it comes up because he said there was 20 natives coming, and then this time he's like got like a dozen or something. And Jim's like, hang on, didn't you say 20? And then he starts getting suspicious, and then he points the gun at John. And I'm thinking, oh shit, if you're going to point the gun, you best be ready to shoot. Like, what are you doing?
You better be like, have your hand on that trigger and be about to.
And if you're going to need to, you've got to do it. Don't just chicken out. Like, he's going to.
And then he just grabs the gun. He obviously gets the gun off of him.
Yeah.
Fucking, God damn it.
And
little kid should have just blasted his face off.
And then John was actually, like, literally shot the kid. So he pulled the trigger and it went quick. So he was going to kill him.
He was ready to shoot, unlike the young man.
But he did shoot. Just the bullet wasn't loaded.
Yeah.
Was it not loaded, or was it just not loaded properly? Or
maybe it wasn't loaded, or maybe it was. Maybe the young guy was just like hoping he would think that it was loaded to like go, like just confess.
Because John was like, next time try with gunpowder or something.
Yeah.
This is And so then we cut back to Leonardo's character.
Yeah.
And it's a bit later on now, but he ends up getting water. He goes to the lake because he's sort of half better now.
Just a quick note on him. No, nothing too particular. More of a nitpicky thing that I didn't quite like was, so, you know, they buried him alive and then like it cuts back to him and he has to like dig himself out of this early grave thing.
Yeah.
All right. And now there's snow settled on him and there's like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, so he obviously passed out for a while.
Yes. So there's time and I'm like, okay, so hypothermia or frostbite didn't exist in the 1820s?
But he was half buried, so they keep you warm.
Kind of. I don't know. He's still in the and the fact that he's injured, all these things, like he's got a lowered immune system, all these things that are gonna fuck him up.
You think
like I was just like,
because the dirt's on him and
something. And Now,
He
obviously,
does.
the whole point of the movie is that this is like remarkable story. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's a reason why. But I was just like, it would have been nice to see him have to chop off a toe because of frostbite, or yeah, you know what I mean.
Well,
like it just seemed like
'cause
that was a bit too much.
The word revenant means like, it almost means like surviving the impossible, or you've almost come back from the dead.
I had to
literally what
search it
means,
as well.
Yeah.
I'm like, what does the meaning mean? I'm like, some sort of version of revengenment. What is it? I wonder. And I looked it up, and it's like, in folklore, a revenant is an animated corpse that is believed to have revived from the dead to haunt the living. The actual word revenant is derived from the old French word revenant, meaning the returning. Also, revenir, which is another French word meaning to come back.
Yeah.
So, like, that's, you can kind of see you can see why that's the base connection to the word revenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And back when the boy dies, when John stabs him,
Yeah.
I remember thinking to myself, like, is this revenant or the revenge? The revenant or the revenge? What is it?
It's the revengenment.
The revengenment. It's a mixture.
Yeah. Oh, you got to... Dude, can you call today's episode Revengenment? That sounds funny as fuck.
I'll call it the Revengenment.
I like that.
That's it. Good stuff to think about that.
Makes me giggle.
Revengenment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were saying, sorry, he went down to the lake, the river or whatever, stream, and he's now going to refill his water. Yeah,
and he goes to take a drink, and the water comes out of his neck because the wound hasn't healed properly, and it starts like coming out when he swallows.
That's right. How gruesome is that? That's pretty cool.
I'm like, oh yeah, straight away as soon as I'm like, oh no. Like I actually verbally said something, like it was horrible.
Oh, that's got to be horrible.
And
like
the pain, and you didn't realize, you just wanted to have a drink. Like what the fuck?
But little did he know, if he leant back into the left, it wouldn't have seeped out.
He'll put his hand over it and hold it shut while he drinks.
Yeah. To try and get as much in as possible.
So then he pours the gunpowder on his neck and lights it on fire.
I know, I saw that. I'm like, fucking Jesus.
That would hurt so much. And then and that wouldn't just hurt while you do it, that'll hurt after too, because you've got like a burn. Like,
I can't just, to be able to know you're about to go through that type of pain and then still light it on fire is like a threshold I've never had to pass yet. I've never had to intentionally, like, you know, like that. That just seems like, I put it to like, you know, you see people who've like dislocated a shoulder and they know that they need to pop it back in, but the act of popping it back in is painful, but they need to get through that part to get it back to normal. And you're like, oh, fucking hell. Or like nose resetting, when you see a coach reset someone's broken nose and it's like, it's gonna hurt, ready? And it's glam, does it?
I guess you gotta, sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, you know?
No,
like,
absolutely.
It's either that or die. Like, what do you want? Do you die? Or?
I mean, in a simple everyday sense, like I think everyone could imagine getting a splinter, right?
Yeah.
So the act of, you've got a splinter, the splinter's stuck in your leg. Now, obviously, this is way worse. We get that.
Yeah.
But like, you got a splinter stuck in your hand, and it's kind of painful. It's tingly. It's there, but you know, ripping it out is going to be heaps painful. But you need to rip it out for it to then heal and get through it. So the act of getting through that hard task of, you know, fuck that.
Have you ever had blood taken? Like.
No. Oh, yes, I have. I've had, a blood test,
Because sometimes when they can't get the vein, I guess for you probably didn't have this issue. But
I have this issue.
Oh,
I know
do?
exactly what you're talking about.
And they have to dig around. They have to dig around, and
I have introvert veins, which like they're very not. You can't really see them from the outside.
Yeah.
But I had it where they're in my right arm. She's like, no, I can't find it. I have to go to your left. I'm like, are you serious, man? And she goes to the left arm. She's like, all right, I'm gonna have to come back in 5 minutes. She puts a strap on my like somewhere on my arm so that it, I don't know, blocks blood. I've got no fucking idea. She comes back and she's like, look, I'm going to get someone else to come do it because obviously I didn't get it in either of them, and I want you to feel comfortable. I'm like, thank you, because all I was sitting there is like, you again? No, someone else. You're
going to have me traumatized and never be able to have blood taken again.
No, next time I'll tell him, and because you can go like, no, just take it from my foot, thank you.
Yeah, see, I had that time when I was tripping out on marijuana.
Thanks to who?
You. No, it was my own bloody thought. I said I wanted it.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I I fucking held you down, opened your mouth up and fucking force fed you.
that was funny because when they took blood from me, it's like you could feel more. I could feel everything that needle was doing. It was horrible.
Oh.
And like I was cold, so they put a warm blanket on me and it felt so warm. Like it was so warm.
You were stoned as fuck. You're like, dude, this is the best blanket as fuck, man. Can we take it home?
It was a heated one too, because they heat it up in the cupboard. It's so good.
Okay.
But yeah, and they couldn't get blood out of anywhere. And they were like, if we need to get blood, we're going to have to drill into the bone in your foot to get the blood out.
Oh, jeez, oh.
Or in my shin or something. That was the last option. It's like, no, we'll just leave it.
Yeah, just leave. And no, we won't get into that here. Anyway. Yeah.
So I can imagine like just digging around his veins and
it's not fun.
Burning your neck. Like,
And then having to, exactly. Fucking, or even like you see in, I'm picturing the Saw movie where his leg's cut off and he's got to press it up against the hot steamy pipe and like singe it shut and you're like, don't do it, don't do it.
And then he comes across, so he keeps searching around for a while, back to the movie.
Yeah.
And he comes across this other Indian guy.
Yeah.
And then
Native American.
Yes, he looks after him for a while. They sort of stay together for a while. I don't know how many months or weeks.
How nice of him to not kill him immediately.
I know, right?
Like, how did he trust him? Is it because, like, Leo knew...
was on his own.
But he, like, knew the ways, you know, he kind of understood, like, no, like, lay down on the ground, beg, you know what I mean? Like, he approached in the correct fashion that maybe another native would have approached, because he's aware his wife and child and stuff like that. So I wonder if that's the, like, because he's like, he's not just a regular fucking pelt-wearing whitey. Yeah.
Because he knows this particular move or whatever,
Well, or at least he's approaching in the correct way, you know, or at least very, very, very non-threatening.
With the right hand gestures and...
Yeah, and like, obviously he couldn't talk, so it was very difficult for him to go, like, he's not going to be able to yell or anything, is he?
And so there's a blizzard comes across.
Yeah.
And this Indian guy's so nice. Builds him like a fucking shelter.
What a nice guy.
He's so looking after him. He's so good. And so while Hugh is unconscious and sleeping because he passes out, doesn't he? Or something. He collapses off the horse.
Yeah.
That's when the blizzard started.
Just I don't want to skip too far past, you know how the native guy feeds him? Do you have a bit of trivia on that part?
Oh yeah. You go for it.
No,
you want me to go for it?
All right. Well, look, because I mean, it's something I saw a bit of trivia now. It's going to make me hate the actor a little bit, but
yeah.
It saw something about Leo deciding to eat the raw bison liver,
the real one,
the real, like, to make it look real, even though he's vegetarian. And I'm like, shut the fuck up and eat it, you piece of shit. You earned $29 million that year. You rich cunt complaining about choosing to eat some meat. Fuck off.
I don't know if that's...
off.
See, now, I don't think this is not him saying even though he's vegetarian. Probably didn't say that.
I know. All that anger, I'm going to throw it away. What I'm going to say is thank you, Leo, for actually going to the effort and doing it. You're right. You're right. That's my bad. But still, fuck you, fucking, because he's vegetarian. Fucking, for the role, do everything, all right? You're getting paid that much.
Further down, there was another trivia of the same thing, and it says nothing about him being vegetarian. It says that he didn't think that what they were going to give him looked real enough, so he wanted to use the real thing because it looked more real.
Yeah, and then someone else obviously researched and they found out he's currently vegetarian.
Yeah, you know?
Okay, yep. So all that anger that I had just a second ago, I'm aiming at the cunt who wrote that.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Definitely not at Leo. Thank you for going to the effort. You're right. It looked fucking excellent what you did.
Although, I mean, humans do eat too much meat, but that's another...
Yeah,
That's another story.
but it's not saying we shouldn't eat meat.
No, it's just saying we need to do it sustainably.
And yes, figure out a better way of doing it. Yes.
Yeah.
We thought we had won with factory farming, but it turns out we're kind of going into the mass murder route, which kind of doesn't seem right.
We are educated enough to be able to get all the nutrients we need without meat, but I mean, this shouldn't be a forced on thing to people, right?
No, I kind of disagree with that. I don't know about that. We evolved with meat, eating meat, requiring meat.
I get that too. Yeah.
As long if we can get the same nutrients from some sort of 3D printed meat, I'm happily go with that. That's not going to be a worry. But as long as it's been tested and it's actually, it must be the exact same chemical makeup as meat. It can't be, it's this but with a little bit more silicon. But we don't know how that affects the body in 20, 30 years.
You can get that bloody vegan fake meat. Protein shit.
I've had a mushroom burger that was
that's different.
It was fake. No, but it was fake meat. They decided. They said no. Look, we're aiming to get a meat patty, but it's 100% mushrooms. And I'm like, what the? It's crazy. It had like tendons. It like was juicy. It was actually like it was made from a mince patty. I'm like, what the? I was thrown away. I'm like, Jesus Christ, that's crazy. I mean, it tasted a bit weird, but that's just the flavorings. That's we can fix that.
I still reckon that I'm pretty sure that I can. I don't know. I seem to think I can know the difference between because we use mince that is not meat. You know, it's I know plant protein or something. But I swear I can tell that it's not meat. Like I swear it's not meat. I know.
Yeah. Look. But I think because you're comparing textures, you're not like those things aren't the things that are crucial, but we believe they're crucial, you know, so it's just about getting used to it. It's like I haven't ordered yet, but I want to get around to ordering some cricket flour. So like flour that's not made from grains. And it's supposed to be so much more better for you because it's packed full of nutrients and stuff. And the best way to do it is something that you got to put it in something that has a lot of flavor, obviously, because you would be able to taste the earthiness. You're not going to taste bugs, everyone.
No.
But you'll taste earth, like as if you're eating a mushroom. You know, that umami, that earth flavor.
It's the same as anything. If you've never had, let's say you've never had something with real flour before, and then you have real flour, you're going to go, oh, that's gross.
Yeah,
like, you're not used to it.
Exactly. It's just what everyone's kind of used to.
It's what you're used to. It's what your habits are, and
habits. Yeah, I agree with that. It's what do you habitually eat regularly?
And I mean,
everyone kind of falls into their routine.
I must say, I do love chicken, so I'm sorry, I can't be vegetarian. I love this chicken too much. So yummy.
Would I give up chicken or would I give up beef?
Yeah, tough choice in that. See, I would give up beef because I don't even eat beef. But anyway.
If I give up beef, can I still then eat lamb? That would be my next question. You know what I mean?
I think so.
So yeah, like, if I did that, I would be all right because I feel like I'd need to get red meat somehow.
What about bacon? That's not red meat, is it?
What does that count as?
Is pork? What's pork?
That's a red meat. That has to be a red meat.
Sure.
That has to be. But I just because it doesn't look red, is it a red? I don't know.
Yeah, I think the key thing here is that you need to find these things sustainably and not just fucking make a whole thing go extinct.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, leading it back to the bloody buffaloes. You're absolutely right.
And try and treat these animals with a bit of humanity as well. Just a little bit.
Not human. No, it's above that. It's not about humans. It's about dignity.
Humanely, not humanity, but humanely, like
treating them as a life. Because my as nonsense as it sounds is I like the term a life is a life. Like it's a life's a life. Like if someone's like, oh, fucking go kill that bug, you can always say a life's a life. And like it's a fun little brain teaser because you start figuring out where your lines lie. Like, how come I can step on this creature, but if I see a puppy, I'm like, you're like me, you have feelings. Yay.
Yeah, aren't they all the same? Yeah.
And then you're like, oh shit. When I'm ripping up a garlic crop out of the ground, am I killing it? Am I hurting it?
Yeah,
how come my line? It is a life. A life is a fucking life. Whether or not it expresses opinions to its friends and family,
or it's conscious or not,
that's a separate factor. It is a life.
It's a living thing.
Yeah, it's where are you happily, like, that's why I think people who generally have plants around their house,
So-
they have this weird respect with them. They
So-
like, oh, we gotta survive together.
So technically, if you want to be truly vegan, you're fucked.
You have to kill yourself.
You can't eat meat. You can't eat plants. You can't eat anything because it's all alive.
Yeah. I don't, yeah.
And
yeah.
my brother's got some vegan friends, right? And they'll have pets. They had pets.
Oh,
It's like,
don't get me started.
Isn't that totally against the whole thing? Like,
I got a cat, and then I'm going to feed it. I'm going to open up a tin of murder, and I'm going to feed it a tin.
Yeah.
Just, what the fuck? You're retarded. And then on worse of that, they're going to, if they're against that, they'll feed them 100% vegan. It's like, no, but that animal is not vegan. That animal is a carnivore. It is actually strictly a carnivore. That's what they are. And you're like, you're going to go, oh, but I want it to eat leaves. And now you're going to kill your cat and make your cat go blind.
Yeah, but my point is that, like, vegans believe in the inhumane treatment of animals.
Yeah.
So therefore, you shouldn't even have a pet because you're keeping it confined.
You're trapping it, confining it. It doesn't get to roam free.
Yeah, like you're essentially a zoo. Like, what, if you really believe you should not have pets.
Yeah, you should at all. Yeah, if you're an animal lover for like to that extent where you're like, no, I'm not gonna go eat this meat because someone else killed it, then you can't go home and feed your trapped animal bloody whatever meat that you've got somewhere else. But you don't believe in that. But now you've got this trapped thing in a cage, essentially.
Whatever gets people through their day, I guess.
Yeah, it's weird how we can put things in a box and just forget about it. We're like, oh no, but see, I do this thing and that's how I do it, and now it's
in this
knocked
situation, it doesn't apply. When it suits me.
When it suits me. Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It's selfishness. It all comes down to selfishness. Me.
I agree. It's like inbuilt human nature.
Yeah, I know, it is. But we needed that, because if we didn't have the greed to go, oh, I want to eat, like that, you need that. That's a basic instinct in all life, kind of thing. Reproduce, you know, get things through, move forward. Yeah.
All right,
we need it.
So going back
otherwise we wouldn't have these sick movies.
Going back to someone who was not greedy was the Indian guy who was helping him.
Ugh.
Build the shelter while he was unconscious. And so while Hugh is unconscious, he sees, I think it was a memory or a vision.
It's like a memory vision type thing.
He sees like an old broken down church, and he sees his son, and then he wakes up, right? And he bursts out of the shelter like he's coming out of an egg or something, you know? Like an animal coming out of the egg that's just hatched. And
it's like
being reborn. Like a rebirth or rising from the dead, or
rising from the dead.
Or as I like to put it, church, Jesus. What did Jesus do? Rise from the dead?
Yeah,
I think there was
he's coming back.
Bit of symbolism going on.
So are we watching Easter? Is that what's happening? Because isn't that what Easter is? The returning of Christ?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're watching the old, what's
the real
version. Yeah, the real. Yeah, but this was only like 200 odd years ago. Or based on.
It was a reenactment.
Yeah, reenactment. That's better. Yeah. This is our version of the Bible.
And I do think things in the Bible happened. I just don't think they were miraculous and what they make it out to be, you know?
I think, but things get convoluted when they've been handed down through history. Like, but it's been bloody translated, then retold, and then edited, and then it's
translated.
It's something you can't take as the gospel, even though that's what it's hinted as.
Yeah.
But you kind of need to like go, oh, these are ideas. These are kind of like, they're like sayings. The saying isn't necessarily 100% accurate to reality, but you can take stuff from it.
Like things you should live by, like, you know, like be kind to your neighbor and stuff. But I mean, I do think that Jesus was a person.
Yeah, but I also think there was 13 others of them at least, possibly, you know, in that one village.
Yeah, and also, like, when he died, he probably just took too many drugs or something and passed out for a few nights, you know? Like, and then
it's possible. Yeah, but I seriously think it's a comic book. It's something that someone kind of...
He just went walkabout for 3 days and no one saw him.
That's probably what happened.
And then suddenly he came back and, oh no, he's back from the dead.
But I even think us referring to that there was possibly a Jesus, like a special Jesus. It's like, no. I don't even think that's
I think
right.
there was just a man.
That name, which is like, if you go back, it would have been Jesus. That was the most common name at the time. So
True.
there would have been, that was John. It was John, and you're like, there might have been 7 different Johns, and all of them had like a cool story, and it was told to one person, and then it was never, then, you know, like, it's so, I don't think that there was this one disciple Jesus. I just can't, there's not enough, no one should be able to say that 100% happened.
Not all the stories. No, not all the stories.
Like, we could say that maybe 1% of it is true or something like that, but I'm not okay with someone saying, no, there was a Jesus. No, there was.
And like the walking on water thing could have just been someone on a boat in the middle of the water and they couldn't see the boat because it was like a mirage, or the boat was just below the horizon, or whatever.
Or the word that they used for on was the same as by, and he was walking on the beach by water, but we translated it to on, and it could have been something simple like that. Yeah. It's a lot of ones and zeros getting crossed up.
People, and some of the other stories were probably people that knew like herbal remedies, or they knew things that helped, and like, because people were accused of being witches and stuff, and all they were doing were using herbs and stuff, and just a bit more knowledge. Like,
what was that saying? A sufficient piece of technology is indistinguishable from magic or something?
Yeah. So that's it. They just didn't understand.
They just didn't get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that's what they were doing in there, that symbolism? Do you think they were trying to symbolize Hugh coming back from the dead, like with Jesus and the church and all that stuff? You think that vision,
I don't know. Me thinking about it after the fact right now, what I think it may have been like...
Unless you've been to a church before, or, I don't know.
Well, there would have been churches, absolutely. They would have had churches.
It was like a memory.
And I think that, because they all lived in a village or whatever, you know, a town.
Yeah.
And it was like a mixed town, which had whites and natives, so... the whites would have definitely had churches, and the natives would have tried to associate, you know what I mean? So I think it was more of a memory thing, and maybe the church was important for like when the fire or his, like, that's where he saw his son run out with the fire on his face.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know if it's specific to, like, I don't know if they're trying to connect the dots between Christianity and Catholicism to... But I wouldn't be surprised that they, like, the reason why they put it in there was to try and get more people on board. You know what I mean? Like,
that's also a thing, yeah.
Because they could have been like, can you imagine being a bloody, you know, a cross-wearing Christian, and you're like, oh, it's the church, I love this part. You know what I mean? Like, that, it just, one more viewing, you know what I mean?
Well, that was a destroyed church, so maybe that's...
Or maybe it was the opposite. It's gonna invite all the Satanists in. They're gonna be like, burn it down.
And then, of course, he wakes up and bursts out the shelter. And he finds the poor Indian guy hung up.
Oh, I know. I paused it on that scene. I'm like, is it him? Is it him? I need to see. Is it him?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's him. Damn it. Fucking damn it.
All the good ones always get killed.
And he was so nice.
He did nothing wrong. He was so...
Ruined it.
Yeah. We forgot to... I don't know if we really had to mention it, but throughout this movie, there's the other tribe of natives. And look, he's looking for his daughter. Remember? He's looking for his daughter, and he said that 2 white people had taken her. Do you remember that bit?
Yeah, because we're kind of following their story a little bit, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
It's about to all meet up at the end.
I was about to say, because they're all about to... You know what's funny? Good, perfect. I'm glad we're talking about the movie terms after this. All right.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to talk about it now. We'll talk about it after.
Okay.
Too bad, listeners. We'll have to skip forward.
So, and this is now... So I did all that. He rescues a girl, which I believe is the daughter.
Yeah.
Because he comes across the camp. I guess they killed that Indian guy as well. And some guys, they've kept this woman, they've been raping her and all this stuff.
And
then he what does he do? He gets the gun to the guy's head, gets him off her, and then he gives her a knife or something and says, "Here, you keep an eye on him," sort of thing. I'm going to go and get some horses. And of course, you know what she's going to do, don't you? She's going to fucking gut him or fucking cut his nuts off, or, you know. and he cut his dick off. Teach him a lesson.
Get him. Just get him.
So Leo gets away, but she doesn't. I don't know what. She must have run off, I think. She just went off her own way or whatever. So what happens? Now he ends up falling off the cliff. How does that happen?
Because he gets in, doesn't he go into the, wait.
He's asleep. So he must go off and camp somewhere. And then the white people find him.
Yeah.
And they chase him, and then he ends up riding his horse off the cliff into the tree. I think he planned that, though. I think he knew there were trees down there, and that was the only sort of chance, you know?
Yeah, probably.
That was like, yeah, we're going to go for it, and if we die, we die. I mean, I've already survived the bear. What more, you know?
What else do you want?
He falls down the cliff there, through the tree, and then he's obviously
that would be that looked pretty cool. I remember watching it, how he like fell down the tree and like the tree swaying, and I know, and the poor friggin' horse, poor bloody thing,
bump into the ground, broken, dead. And then he ends up, he wakes up. I mean,
look, of all the ways to die, that's probably a nice quick one, real quick impact. And being the weight of a horse, I'm sure you would go real quick. Yeah, it would have been, and but he survived. Another luck thing.
Yeah, again, he survived again, and then so he's hurt now, and it's cold and it's snowing. So he cuts the horse open like good old Star Wars technique.
I was just about to say, good, bloody oath, mate.
Good old Star Wars, cut the animal open, go hide inside. Yeah, got it.
Yeah, but now that you've killed the animal, it's not creating all that body warmth. But I mean, I'm sure it's still some insulation, absolutely.
Yeah.
But like, how long would that last? Because eventually that would definitely freeze up because it's no longer keeping,
also,
is it just for one night it'll work?
But he also pulled all its insides out, and that's where most of the warmth is.
Most of the warmth would come from,
So he really needs to pack himself back in after.
Yeah. And just have like a straw for oxygen hanging out.
But yeah, I mean, I guess it's like a coat though. It's warm. You've got that fat layer and
definitely
skin.
I wonder how accurate those survival techniques are throughout the movie. You know, like the singeing of the neck thing, the cutting it open.
I think the gunpowder to the neck would be a good technique. I think that would be used.
I mean, it's possible, or at least have a hot rock on a fire and then singe it,
or a hot knife.
But that's what he had available. So or a hot knife, absolutely. But you can tell that Bear Grylls wasn't involved by the lack of piss drinking. If he was involved, I'm sure there would have been a scene where he's like, sifting a bloody, what was that episode? He's like pissed into a snakeskin filled with hay and shit, and then he squeezes it out. You bloody hell. Yeah. Fucking hell. Nah, thank fuck I'm not surviving with him.
So I think now we're pretty much right near the end. So
we're practically there.
Gets back to the camp where everyone else is.
Yep.
Stumbles across the captain. Captain's like, all right, where's those two fucking...
Where those bastards?
And then he goes, because he can't find John, he goes after Jim. And starts beating up Jim. But it's not Jim's fault.
He's the good guy. And at least Leo told him. He said, he's like, no, he was just no, don't trust me. It wasn't his fault. He was just following orders, man. And then once he's cleaned up a tiny bit, he wiped the dirt off his face. He's like, I need a gun and a horse.
And Captain's like, no, I'll go. You don't go. I'm going to go, sort of thing.
Yeah, no, you don't go. We'll find it for you. And he's like, no, you don't understand. This is why I'm living right now.
Yeah, this is my thing. I got to do my thing.
This is my revenant.
Yeah. And then, of course, that's what happens. So, because they split up. So they see there's a fork in the path. So Leo's like, I'll go this way, you go that way. And, of course, Leo goes the right way, obviously.
Yep. As a movie would.
Yeah. Captain comes across him, gets shot, killed. Obviously, Rio.
Oh, I know. How fucking... He's like there. He's looking around and he's like, "What is that? What is that?" Bang! And you're like, "Fucking goddamn it! I liked you."
Yeah.
But I'm also happy that the movie was willing to kill him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not afraid to kill a good character.
No, you needed that shock to be even more you needed that because we hadn't. it's been quite some time since we've seen what's his name, since he killed Leo's son. So you kind of need that revamping of like, oh yeah, I fucking hate this guy, don't I? You know what I mean? Like it almost like jolts
Just
you
a
back into
reminder.
that. Yeah.
And then Leo comes back, finds his body, and that's when they do that twist thing. Where
That was such a good idea.
I know, and he's so calm enough to think. He's so angry, but yet so, like level-headed, like to plan.
Because he's a tracker and he's like, he's one with the, he's obviously, as we've said, he's got his native son and his partner. So he's kind of involved in that life of understanding nature, how it works and tracking things down. Like that's got to be like to be able to, in the moment, you can imagine you're looking at a beast of whatever it is and you've got to be able to be calm, cool, collected, not breathe too heavily. You can't be panting. You got to control your body and your natural bodily urges.
Otherwise, you'll end up being dead.
It's very, very smart.
But also, he's hunting an animal because this man is nothing but animal instincts. This man he's after is just a uneducated animal. It
is an animal. People like to separate the two, but we are animals. I mean, we've got instincts, we've got nature, we've got,
This man is down to his base instincts. Survival, myself, no one else, not thinking about the future.
And I mean, as we've seen, like you can see that we've got bloody, serial killers today. So obviously it's not too hard to believe that he's got a couple wires crossed in his head. So now his priorities are in the wrong order.
Yeah.
That's why he's the way he is, which you can justify it, but you still want him to fucking die. So like, let's get into this. I was so like, for a moment, I was so disappointed. And then I was like, like, fuck yeah. Because
he didn't get shot.
No, well, because he, obviously, he actually like he shoots him, and then he somehow gets into the woods.
Oh yeah,
and he's like tracking him down, and then he finally gets a hold of him, and he's about to fucking kill him. But he then he looks up, and he sees the like you mentioned just a second ago, that one.
Oh yeah, but before that they have a bit of a scuffle down near the ice and the water.
Yes, yeah.
And then he loses the axe. And then he grabs the axe, swings to get John, misses, but cuts his fingers off. And I'm like, fuck yeah, cut those fingers off. I'm like, yes.
Cut a few more.
I was so shocked that it was like, because normally they just miss,
Yeah.
But in real life,
there would be
a
things
finger
like that.
or something, right? And I'm like, it just startled me. And I'm like, yes, that is so good.
Isn't that weird?
So
like
good.
Sometimes what makes a good movie is not that there's the person who's carrying out the act of killing or whatever. It's not that they're good at the act. It's that the movie maker is so good to know that he needs to throw a couple bad throws to then throw the good one afterwards.
Yes.
It can't just be straight away, slices in half, walks on with his day.
No.
It's to know the difference between like going, oh no, he needs to
progression.
Get used to progression. Exactly. It's getting used to how this guy fights, and then like, he throws a left jab, then a right, then he throws a power right. I know this pattern.
And you've got to wound each other a bit before you can get close enough to get that final hit in,
Exactly.
And then instead of killing him, he's like, you can go now. And you get to the water and he sees the other.
Yeah, he sees the other group and he like, because I'm like, just fucking get him, kill him. And then he looks up, like I'm hoping, what I was hoping for was him to like grab his neck and drown him and hold him until his lights are gone. You know what I mean?
Waterboard him a bit first.
But what happened was like he did this like peaceful thing where almost like he wasn't forgiving him, the bad guy. He was like forgiving himself. He's like, and let him go, just out into the water.
But what does he say?
He
says something about, I'll let God do the revenge or something, Revenge
it's along the lines
revenge is in God's hands now or something.
Revenge is a dish best served got cold. No, that's not it. Something about letting revenge take its place or something. You know what I mean?
Give me a sec. You keep talking, I'll look it up.
Yeah, you look it up. But like I like that he floats down the river and he's like, oh shit. And he's like freaking out because he knows he's going to the hands of the natives. And you know what the natives do? They scalp. They did an excellent job.
He already been half scalped earlier in his life.
Yeah. And then, but it's yeah, man, it's no shit. Just seeing his like the top of his skull, and you're like, good, because you heard him scream and like, because he's getting fucking scalped, and so brutal, man. So glad they put that in the movie.
Oh, here you go. He says, "No, revenge is in God's hands, not mine," and lets him go into the water.
Fucking Christianity.
No.
No. Look, the feeling behind it. Yeah,
I'm sure he's not Christian.
No. He's some sort of subsect of something, whatever. But it's more like it's the letting go for yourself. It's not like I don't need to end this fool's life.
Because John said earlier, he's like, you can kill me, but it won't bring her back.
Yeah.
Or it won't bring your son back.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, revenge is quite a complicated thing.
Oh yeah, and it is never quite satisfying, apparently.
No, because you kill him and then it's like, well,
but I still have these feelings. I didn't deal with the feelings. Yeah.
So this one's letting go. He's coming to terms. Yeah.
And then what was the last thing we saw? He kind of like he has like a premonition of his wife or something.
Yeah,
not premonition.
That's a vision or
a vision.
He sees his dead wife standing there, and that's the end. And then the credits roll in.
Oh, that was sad. What did you see? His eyes and like his like eyes watering up.
Now what's he gonna do? Is he gonna kill himself? Like what? What does he do now? His wife, his kid, he start again? Like what? What are you? Was he going to live off the land the rest of his life? Like.
That's the ultimate. That's got to be the ultimate, because like for me, when I have moments like that, they're over little trivial things. I'm like, fuck, all right, what have I got to do now? Like I've lost a job, I've done things like that where I'm like, shit, now I've got to like figure out something.
You got to change your life.
But the imagine, just to try and imagine you've had a family and they've been taken away, and to like think like, what is next now? I had this whole life. I had loved ones. I had a connection with these beings. And now I've got a what?
I think it'd be just fuck humanity. Yeah, I'm off.
Swallowing a bullet. You know what I mean? Point that thing at your fucking... Oh,
but how good
was
the ending, though? This is far better than the last movie where they went to some fucking pop song.
Fucking goddamn it, bloody Imagine Dragons. Hear the thunder in the thunder.
Yeah, they should have done that. They should have put that. Yep, that would have been fantastic.
No.
So it ends with the credits rolling, and to start with just his breathing.
Oh, that's right. Thank you for saying that. That was a nice touch, wasn't it?
Just and then the cello comes in, the piano.
Yeah.
I thought that was quite nice, just simple.
And that's the kind of music you want to hear in this.
Exactly.
The like, it's not like a fucking
Taylor Swift
song.
Or fucking.
It was tailor made to this. Tailor made. It was Taylor Swift made to this.
Gotcha.
And it was like, fucking tongue twister. No, you put words in my mouth.
I know.
But yeah,
that happens a lot.
It does, doesn't it?
You did that last week too. Something come up and I noticed it, and I'm like, I think you meant a different word, but anyway.
Yeah, dude, if you hear that, point it out, man. I swear I have dyslexia, like a mild dyslexia.
I didn't notice till after, but yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
A couple times I have noticed it during the thing, though. But yeah.
I've noticed it after because I'm paying attention to that, because that's what I'm conscious about myself. It usually happens with numbers, like I'm like, yeah, you got to say, we're doing episode 9 and then episode 10. I get them swapped.
I think everyone does it like here. Like mum or dad will say something while I'm talking, and then I'll say that word as my next word, like. Yeah,
no, in that sense, you're right. It's like when someone drops a bomb like, I listened to their discography the other day, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in the next conversation to whoever you're talking about, you say that same word because it's in your mind. It's like it's been put there now, and you're like, is that my word? Why would I have said that word? Why did I say that word? Oh, it's because he said that word earlier.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, I'm a problem-solving machine. I'm like, if I can use that in my life, is it going to improve it? I've got to test it out,
Yeah, this word must be something good.
Yeah. Alrighty, so shall we head on to the we'll go into our overall notes?
Yeah, so I'll do a couple of trivia things here.
Oh yeah, no, do that
So,
first because overall notes
obviously,
leads to the rating.
We mentioned it was based on a real person.
Okay, yep.
That's all I got there. But then we got
Is it a real fur trapper? I'm guessing.
I think he was like a ranger or something. I didn't actually write it all down. It was a
fair enough.
lot to go through. I just wrote down that he was based on a true real person.
Now, what I would be interested into knowing is if he actually had a native partner and a kid, and you know what I mean. That would be interesting. Or if they added that in just to make the movie more like, oh, cool, they're mixing together now. That's pretty fucking PC. Sick.
And also, you know how you mentioned about the raw bison meat liver?
Yeah.
He also had to learn how to shoot a musket, build a fire, and speak 2 languages.
Fucking well done, mate. That's effort. That's effort.
Also studied with a doctor who specializes in ancient healing techniques as well. I mean, he didn't have to learn all these things. He just wanted to, you know.
Do you reckon, read that out again? He studied with what? Say that again.
A doctor who specializes in ancient healing techniques.
Now, do you reckon the producers just got them to have a conversation and then they call it after the fact? He studied with a doctor. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
do you reckon he just chatted with a guy and they like, yeah, no, they used to just grab this twig and they chew it up into a paste and rub it on the wounds. And he didn't actually study for it, but they had a conversation about it. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if that's how it would work. Either way, it's nice that he put some effort.
Was he in person with him out in the wild and looking at stuff? Or,
that would have been cool, like an actual expert who's with them.
Yeah,
that would have been sick. Cool. Imagine that, like you're recording this movie, right, and you're dressed up with all this weird shit, like old-timey pelts and stuff, and there's this native, and he's like dressed up like the same you are, but that's his natural attire. That'd be fucking weird, wouldn't it? Not that he would be dressing like that nowadays, but you know, that'd be strange.
And then another one I've got is they shot this movie chronologically on an 80-day schedule.
Is that a mostly chronologically, or it was definitely? You know what I mean? Like, because I feel like they would have had to cut things in. Like, well, for instance, do you reckon they record the battle scene, or like, you know, just before he has like the vision of his wife and his son? Do you reckon they record it, stop to then go record that vision, and then come back and continue? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. All it says was shot chronologically.
Or at least I would see it as like the main sequence was shot chronologically.
I guess
that would make sense to me.
Like, because for an actor, could you imagine filming the end and the start and the...
how
do you keep your
It'd
emotions?
Be very difficult.
Can you get your emotions in the right track? And it said the schedule took place over a total principal photography time of 9 months. An unusually long production time was due to cold weather conditions and the remoteness of the locations.
All I say is worth it.
Yeah, they went out to those locations and like you said about the lighting, they used all natural light except for a few
bits and bobs.
And then, you said about the green screen. I'll read that out again. So, the director, I can't say his fucking name. Let's go for it. 𝗏𝗃𝗃 𝗏𝗃𝗃𝗃. What the
Yes.
Wow.
And he's a person.
Just the director. He was insistent that computer-generated imagery not be used to enhance the film, stating, if we ended up in green screen with coffee and everybody having a good time, everybody would be happy, but most likely the film would be a piece of shit. This is his quote.
That's funny as, yeah. Yeah, I butchered that quote. That's better.
That's the end of my trivia there. So we got
sick.
Any extra trivia you got there?
No, I try to throw mine in during.
Yeah.
So I just had a couple little things. But yeah, I think we should go on to our overall notes here. I'm going to start off with some camera stuff. I think it was sick that it was almost all of it was recorded about chest height / eye level, depending on whether they were kneeling or whatever. But it was like you were with them walking through it. You know, it's just and how surprisingly smooth it felt, even though they were filming in like that sort of terrain. You know, I thought that was quite surprising. I mean, there was jumpy parts, but they were necessary at the times. But when they were actually walking and running through the woods and stuff, the filming didn't feel too like jittery and jaggedy. That would hurt. They like hurt your eyes, kind of thing. Yeah. What did you have on that?
Just that, you know, those circle, where they do those 360 kind of show what he's looking at, show his face, and then show the bad thing or whatever. That
was epic. That the bear cubs his face,
revealing things behind him, or like in such a way that you get to see everything.
That's like the ultimate version of the bloody, you know, when someone goes to the medicine cabinet with the mirror on the door and they open it and then they close it and there's someone behind it. But this is like the no tricks. This is the real deal. Like just the camera. Yeah, I think
the biggest example of that was with the bear cubs.
Yeah,
where he shows the cubs and his face and the bear behind. That was all. I like that about the camera. Well, that was really good.
Now, he said no CGI to enhance the filming.
Yeah, I guess the bear was, though, surely.
I was just about to say, the bear looked super realistic. Like, and I'm trying to picture, like, the main attack scene where he's, like, on top of Leo.
Yeah,
like,
that's so good.
That, like, the fur.
And it licks him.
And the movements as well. The like... It's because it's not a human in a suit, and I hate it when like things look wrong because it's like they try to picture something running on all fours, but they're picturing how a human might run. You know, like it's not like that. It's a bear.
They got the right weight,
and they really, the weight, the physics of his skin being like separate to his frame underneath. You know what I mean? Like it all
the
really
muscle flopping around, and
it looks fucking excellent.
And the hair simulation, all that.
Individual fibers of hair just seem like crazy.
And again, that takes a good animator to get that feel, that weight.
Yes,
because you can make something move, but it needs to be by physics. It needs to, you know, you need that I don't know, that's a word. I don't know, but just that power, that impact.
It's almost like you need that kinetic motion. You know, what I mean? That fucking. That's something, the things underneath it are like attached with tissue, but then attached with a little bit of like fiber, you know, like the difference of movement between the bone, the layers of muscle, the layers of skin, they're all separate, you know?
What did you think about the acting? I thought it was fantastic.
Fucking Leo destroyed the role. He ran away with it. He was unbelievable. Heath
Ledger survival.
Although I don't know, I'd struggle to compare the two.
But that level,
you're
level
right.
of getting into the role.
But he, like, I can't think of a single moment where I wasn't believing him, or like I wasn't believing, like, you know how you've got
like a true story, right?
But you've got to disassociate from the fact that that's Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes,
and it was incredibly easy because he destroyed the role. And I mean good destroy, I don't mean ruin it. He owned it. It was excellent.
It's funny how we use negatives to be positive.
It's weird how it swaps it over, doesn't it? And I didn't even mean to. I'm like, no, it's excellent. It's great. He fucking destroyed it, mate. Like I'm at the footy or something. Not that I care about footy.
No, footy sucks.
I don't give a shit about sports. Fucking unless your relative is actually playing the game, then I don't understand the connection. But anyway,
no, but it's my team, okay?
No, but that's my tribe.
No, it's my team.
I'm on the tall branch.
Even though I'm just watching on TV, they're my team.
Yeah, I know, right? But I have their hat, and I put their hat on when I watch them play on the TV.
That's gonna make them win.
Yeah, that's gonna make them win.
They can hear me when I yell at
TV. But anyway, sorry. Also, the other actors, they were all bloody brilliant.
Well done.
Literally, just because they were such good actors, I wanted to mention them earlier, like I did. I had to say,
couldn't fault any actor. There was none.
And another shout out to that bloody ginger captain. Fucking excellent. Oh, you're a good guy.
And I like the young boy as well. He's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Did a
but
good job.
Will Poulter
Yeah.
as something Bridger. I can't remember.
Yeah.
It's John Bridger or something like that.
Jim.
Thank you. All right, I've got. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
What's Jim short for? Jim is short for something stupid. It's like
it's probably short
Edward.
for Jonathan.
It's pretty short for Edward.
Yeah, it's like Bob is short for fucking, was it Robert or something?
Yeah, I know. What the fuck?
Yeah. So on the story and writing, a couple notes there. I was like, and these are probably the only two real negative notes on the whole movie I found, was that luck was used liberally throughout. Main thing with that is, where that hypothermia at?
Yeah.
I felt like there was a few too many things of like, oh, in the nick of time, he just happened to survive kind of stuff.
That's how it works. It's a movie.
I know. And I obviously didn't bring the score down that much at all, but that was just one.
It wouldn't make much of a movie, would it?
No, but I think
yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and the only other one on that
we don't know exactly
I felt
how
like
cold
it was.
But...
No, we don't. No, you're right. And I don't know what it would have been like in that situation. So he may have survived easily. I don't know. But the only other note on that, the story and writing, was it could have been a tad shorter. It seemed a little bit drawn out in places.
Yeah, bit slow.
Just I mean, as much as there were so many scenes where I appreciated that it was drawn out, because I was like, oh, look at this scene. Look at that, the sun cutting through the blades, of the leaves.
Like we said, like hence the lack of notes means that there wasn't all that much important stuff in there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we didn't have many notes, so obviously
and keep in mind,
let's
be honest, right? The plot of the movie is simple.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so you're right. Yeah. And it's funny because we've done a pretty long podcast so far already on just this movie.
Yeah.
So it's surprising that it was low enough in notes, but it was broad enough that we could chat about it. You know what I mean?
I think we don't even need to take notes in the future. You know, like
almost getting to that stage. Eventually will be like 3 dot points. No, we need to talk about that. Have to talk about that. We'll probably talk about that, and then the rest will just come to us.
Yeah.
So I got another bit there on props and clothes. So, I mean, biggest thing was part movie, part nature survival doco. It was like so realistic, down to the pelts and fur that they were wearing, the landscapes that they were trudging through, like everything. It was very well.
I hope they didn't have to kill like 100 animals to get those pelts. I'm sure they use old.
Older ones, or they responsibly, like they were they were sourced responsibly. They weren't just like, we're now shooting in this area. Let's kill
after they were done, they probably gave them to someone or to a charity, or they would. You'd
hope so, absolutely.
To use after, you'd hope.
I would hope that they would go, at least sell it off.
Blankets or
at least dropped off to bloody, a reserve or something. Fuck, wouldn't be that hard. And our last overall notes, which I'm sure you've probably got some notes on, is the music.
Don't actually. I just thought my note for music is good.
Yeah, good. No, it is good. That's practically my note. You summed up my 12 words in one word.
Okay, well, there you go.
I was just like, the ambient nature sounds are on point. They blew me away. They really did make it feel like a nature doco, didn't they? They really just, everything sounded so surreal. Just even down to them packing a musket, hearing that rod being forced down the thing, and you're hearing the sliding of the metals to get, like, everything. It was fucking excellent.
Occasional trickling water, like when they're sitting around water or whatever. I'm like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. So
adds to the atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly. That I was tossing up. I'm like, do I write atmospheric sounds or ambient sounds? No, ambient sounds more right, because that's not the main focus.
They did have music as well, not just nature sounds. Like they had
they had violins and stuff. Like and what do you call it? Not like it's not like a drum, but it's a bass sound. Like a boo. They had sounds like that.
Yeah, intense. Get you going sounds.
So. Let's start off with your rating there, man.
Do you want to just quickly do the budget first?
Definitely jump into that first.
So I've actually got some more on budget than normal. So we got...
Oh, okay.
The budget was 135 million.
Yep, all right. 135.
Box office, made 533 million.
Fucking hell, well done.
But it's not that good once I tell you the next bit.
Oh,
so
fuck.
I don't know who this is, but it says Deadline Hollywood calculated the net profit of the film to be about 61 million when factoring together all expenses and revenues. So profit, 61 million out of that 500.
They suffered in profit for the quality. You know what I mean? Like,
I guess so.
Because they had to do it, it was a pain in the ass. It was drawn out. They had to get everyone out there. It was, location shooting, so it wasn't in the like a set, a studio or anything. So, I think to me that's justifiable.
Advertising.
But you know what they won in most? Not money. All right, the type of profit that they won the most at is word of mouth.
Oh yeah,
this movie was so fucking popular.
So when they say after expenses and revenues. Could that be actors' wages too? Like,
yeah, that would be after all that.
Yeah, but then how does the budget 135? Like, I don't get that. I don't think budget is what we think it is. I think there's hidden things.
Yeah.
I think budget. We might need to look this up. What budget actually means for.
I bet there's some detailed, some shitty things going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of. Like, we call this the budget, but separately we pay the
actors. Don't count. This don't count.
Yeah, maybe. Because that'd be interesting to know, because why don't they release like, all right, we got the actors' wages, the budget, and the profit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like
just release all those three in the same,
Like, why does it matter if we know what the profits is? Like, it's
because if it does bad, then it's shown as a failure through
money.
The production company, they don't want to advertise that. They're not going to release that.
So you're right, because
but that's wrong
watch it because of that.
That's lying. We need to just give as much truth out there as possible. That film technique worked well, or that film technique worked bad. It's just to learn and be able to improve
It was still profitable, just not like maybe this happens with a lot of movies.
Maybe it does, and we haven't understood there.
Maybe the net profit is always not that much more than the box office, like.
Because if that is the profit, I mean, that's free money right there. That's
free,
money. That money, not free, but like that's money
free.
That's not associated to anything. Like that's such a great thing. That's whatever profit. That's excellent. Yeah.
Even 1 million's a fucking lot to ask. Like, could you imagine 61 million? Like, what do you do with that? Like, what do you? How do you? Yeah. What do you? Can you imagine that amount of dollar bills? Like,
I know my first steps, and it would be buying a street, buying every house on it, fucking
get all your friends and family.
I literally would make it would be and I'd even try and go so far to make it like I'd have my own like senator. You know what I mean? My own.
You're gonna make your own town. Okay. Yeah.
With that amount of money, I reckon you could. I reckon it wouldn't be too hard to get to the point where you could almost boundary it off. I mean, I wouldn't go to the state where it needs separate policing, but it would have its own like town, and we have our own little, that would be sick.
And you could be the mayor.
And I don't know, I wouldn't want that. I'd get someone else who was actually worthwhile, but I would be like the silent partner. I'd have someone who's
yourself not worthwhile.
Nah, not as a mayor. No.
I know.
Because then I can't take edibles and shit. That'd fuck me up. Imagine that. Do you reckon a mayor or whatever they wouldn't get drug tested? There'd be no reason for it. Unless some issue happened.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to the rating. What do you reckon? What did you whack on that one?
I gave it 9 out of 10.
Oof. We are on the same page. I went with a 9 out of 10. I was like, literally the only thing brought it down was the drawn out feeling. Nothing else.
Yeah, and also for me, it didn't really detract at all, really, but the prosthetics on his back when he had the cut.
You're right.
Not looking a bit right.
Yeah, kind of looked a bit off. Yeah, but other than that, it was a masterpiece in filming. Hey,
I don't know what a movie has to be a 10 out of 10, but.
I don't think we'll ever give anything a 10 out of 10 ever. For me, I don't know if that's even possible. For it to be like a 10 out of 10, it's like, you know what?
I reckon Doctor Strange could almost be a 10 out of 10, but I have to watch it again to work it out. But
because we're actually reviewing it, I would rate my memory of it a 10 out of 10.
True.
But reviewing it, I'm sure I will find plot holes. I'm like, nah, why did they put that in there?
That's true.
Now, off of memory again, I think if I was rating something, I think @𝗏𝗏, the series, was like a 10 out of 10. But am I just because that's just such an epic. Yeah, I don't know that. So I want to, we got to go back and test it. So a 9 out of 10 from you.
Yep,
9 out of 10 from me.
Sweet.
Fuck yeah. So that was an epic fucking watch, man. That was sick. So shall we head on to some movie terms?
Yeah, all right.
Sick. Sounds good. Yeah, we got these separated into separate categories. So the first one is types of shots, which I'd like to open up with. That'd be good.
Yeah.
So we got the obvious bird's eye view. I think everyone might be able to understand what that is. A shot from above, essentially, an overhead view. Pretty
easy.
And we got a close up or a close shot, which is an up close or whatever view of a person or object, usually without, or what it says here is usually without much context provided.
I guess, yeah.
So I think you gave an example when we were just chatting about it. You said about like sometimes it's a close up of an eyeball or something, someone's just their face, so you're not getting the room that they're in.
That was an extreme close up. That's what that was, the eye and the mouth. That was extreme close up. Which we decided not to put in because.
Well, no, but I see that as the same thing though.
Yeah, you're kind of right though.
It's a view of a personal object without much context. So the context comes from the surroundings almost. So like, yeah, I don't know.
So
they're similar.
Something that goes with close up gets further down in film techniques, but tight framing.
Yeah, yes, that definitely connects together.
Which they use to kind of, make it look claustrophobic or when the character's confined. That relates to
so
that.
Picture like a group of people on an elevator and they're recording it.
What I mean? They're confined.
Close type.
Yeah.
So we'll move down. We'll go into, so we've got crane shots. I think most people understand what that is, but it's a mechanical arm that they can program to do specific movements, and
used to not be able to program it, but nowadays,
But which is why nowadays we can get some amazing one-take shots.
Yes.
Because they don't need to pass a camera over or whatever. It's like 360,000. Yeah, and repeatability. I was just about to jump into that. Exactly. The repeatability of being able to do the same shot with the same camera, doing the exact same. The camera's doing the same course. I'm sure that helps with editing. Hey, like so much.
Like at close-up shots, did they do a lot of that in the movie we just talked about?
Yes, absolutely.
The Revenant, they did a lot of that, I felt.
Facial expressions seem very vivid to me, so I'm thinking they must have had some close-ups of like his face and like, especially when like he's like on the bed, he's like broken up and his son's getting murdered, you know what I mean? And he's like, they're looking at him and then they cut to him, what's his name, over at the tree stabbing his son, and it like, what else is there? Where are there? There's got to be other close-ups.
Oh, yeah. They wouldn't have done any crane shots or dolly shots.
I think they said that they did.
Dolly ones because the trucks.
Oh, dolly shot might be. I'm thinking more like crane shot, like where it's like floating around them and everything. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah. No, nothing was above in the air.
But with that dolly shot in there, it says about what I reckon they use most of the time while filming would have been a smooth hand, or what do they call it? A steady hand?
Steady cam.
Yeah, Steadicam.
Steadicam is like mounted on the person,
Yeah, like the camera guy has like this, harness / suit thing that has like and it has a camera attached to it, so it's like as smooth as possible. Yeah. Even if he's running, that thing can still keep a nice smooth image because of like, I don't know how they've set it up. They look fucking, it's crazy how much engineering goes into everything.
Yeah, no, it's crazy.
All right. Then we got what's the next one? We go down to the establishing shot.
Yeah.
Which I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah. That's like often at the start of the movies, usually an extremely long or long shot, often at the beginning of a scene or sequence, providing the viewer with the context of the subsequent closer shots.
Which I think is that's a perfect sentence that explains that so well.
So that like, because sometimes you see I think that's called a reveal or something, because at the start, it is like a helicopter shot, and it's like going across the town or whatever. That's kind of like an establishing shot. 'Cause
Yeah,
they're
or you could
establishing
imagine like think of Lord of the Rings where they have a nice big shot over the valley. You can see what's the Hobbitville? God damn it, what's the anyway? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But you can see it all, and it's like it's giving you a okay. So this is where this story takes place.
Yeah.
And I think that's a handy term, establishing shot, because every movie will have one of them, whether it's a small establishing shot or one that's over the whole town that it's going to take place in, or if it's just the bloody, I don't know, the shop that the movie takes place at, whatever it is, it'll have one of them. I think that's a crazy shot to have. I love it when they do it well, where it's like it almost includes the whole movie in the establishing shot, but there's no detail to it. It's like they've floated over the whole country.
There is another name for it, but yeah, but it still comes under establishing shot. I feel it does anyway.
All right. So then what's under that? We've got a master shot, which...
It's essentially just one long uninterrupted shot. And then from that, they'll take like zoomed in bits and pieces and use that.
Yeah.
You know, like
so that's the master. We're going to take everything. It's like having a theme palette. You know, I'm going to use these specific colors, all right? And then you go, all right, now let's stick to it. Let's make sure we stay by it by using a master shot.
Almost instead of taking like 10 different camera shots from different camera lenses, just use the one shot and then cut the bits out as we need it. And then probably use like a 8K footage or something ridiculous.
Or something crazy, yeah. So then they can go right into it. And we got what's a cool one? We got the reverse angle shot, which is awesome because it's like a jump around. It's so you can see what the person you were just looking at, you're seeing what they're seeing now.
Yeah, which they did in the Revenant, but
exactly.
It was like a 360 though. It was like
it wasn't a jump. It wasn't a cut.
It wasn't a jump cut. It was a one interrupted, moving the camera around 180 to see what he's seeing.
And that was
that feels more natural.
It definitely does because it's not like a jarring. It's not like blam. Now you're seeing
it's like you were there and you've just walked around the character. You know, it's almost like you've walked around doing what the camera's doing. Like you're one with the camera. So good.
All right. Then we got the this one's pretty cool. I like it. It's a Dutch angle, which is Dutch angle is a shot where the camera is tilted to one side along the horizontal axis, producing a diagonal angle. It is typically done to create a sense of unease within the viewer, which absolutely works.
I think there was a couple of times where they actually did that in The Revenant. I can't pick out specifically, but I remember.
Think of any movie where it's like they've gone into the other side, the ether, the ghost realms, or wherever, right?
Tilt the camera.
And they tilt the camera, they put a slight effect on it, so there might be a bit of shadowing, but they do this effect where their perspective looks ajar. It looks just wrong.
It's almost like someone's bumped into the camera and knocked it over, you know? It's like, oh, it's good. I like it.
Yeah.
And then last shot was a static shot, which is a shot where the camera doesn't move, obviously.
Which very self-explanatory.
Like if the camera's sitting on a table, someone walks past, you know, the camera just stays there throughout the shot.
Or like if there's a scene in a room, they'll have a camera right up above so you can get the movements of the people in the room and you're like, it doesn't move at all. I like I'm thinking of one. It's like a meeting and it's just, fuck, what movie is it from? God damn, I'm blanking. Sorry, audience. No, it's like, but yeah, exactly that. It's just a still camera shot and it almost makes, it's like the opposite of the Dutch angle. It makes you feel unease because you're so used to the camera moving. You know what I mean? It's like, wait, okay. Yeah. Like I got to absorb all this information in this still scene.
Almost like someone walks off and you want to follow them, but
it hasn't.
The camera. It's like, why aren't you following? What's happening? And then, so now we've got the next category, which I felt these are more like groups of shots or the placement of the shot.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. No, so I can see the distinction.
Like the first one, an insert shot, a shot occurring in the middle of a larger shot. Typically a close-up of another object or some otherwise minor detail. So like they're talking about something and then you see the axe. So they zoom in on the axe, you know, like And they show that up closer.
Yeah, to kind of so it pretty much helps tell the story in a way, because it's like, oh no, and you got to pay attention to that, and it helps you. It helps the director to help like point focus to where he wants your attention to go.
Yeah, and then we also got intercut shots.
Yep.
Which is like, for example, we got two things happening, like two different groups of characters, and they're cutting between the two events. Like in what did we watch the other week? Law-abiding citizen. At the start, where it's the daughter playing music on stage, and the guy in the execution chamber getting executed.
Yeah, yep.
That's cut between two events. I think that would fit under that category, intercut shots.
Definitely would.
Montage, that's pretty.
I think everyone knows what that is. Just it's a what do they call it? Transitional sequence of rapidly edited images. Yeah. I mean, I feel like a montage isn't strictly images, but yeah.
Yeah, and then we also got cross-cutting, which I think is the same thing as intercut shots. Now that I look at it,
I feel like an intercut shot is about as. Oh yeah, no, you're right. They seem similar. I'm sure there's all of these terms they overlap in a way. So
yeah,
that's all right.
And that's the end of those we had.
All right, we got lens types. Do you want to just do a quick run through all of these lenses? I don't think we need to go into them too detail. You just jump in.
So we got wide angle lens, or I think it's also called a short lens.
Yep.
Obviously, wider view, pretty obvious. A zoom lens, which is has a variable focal length, so they can like change the zoom as they want.
Yeah, so I can do both far and short distance, it's focused.
And in between. Yeah. Macro lens. What is that? That's just
something very close to you.
Close up, short focus. Telephoto, which I thought was interesting. Has a longer focal length than standard. Gives a narrow field of view, but that makes the image more magnified. So it's like you can't see, you know what I mean? Like you got less peripheral because more focused, so therefore the image you get is bigger because you're only looking at a small area. I don't know. It's a bit
that's interesting to think about. Yeah.
And then I thought I wanted to add an anamorphic, because that's something they do a lot in movies. Is anamorphic lens. Do you know what that is?
Well, just from reading this, I now know what it is.
Yeah.
You want to dive in?
So, back when you used to use film, the frame on the film was only so big it was square.
Yeah.
So if you shot in widescreen, you've got to have black bars, and you're not getting as much almost resolution as you could be. So they use a lens that stretches the image to fill the entire frame. So you're exposing the whole film and not just a middle bit. And therefore you get a higher resolution.
And then they need that same lens when projecting it to reverse it, inverse it. Yes, exactly.
To bring it back to the correct widescreen portion.
Oh, yeah. See, this says it in a much nicer words. I like this. When projecting the film, a reverse complementary lens. Yeah. No, that's interesting. It's crazy how many different lenses, different cameras,
I didn't realize that's why anamorphic was a thing. And if they don't have, that's why you get sometimes in a movie, you get that almost fisheye, kind of like you see a
kind of feeling.
They're in a room where you got pillars everywhere.
Yeah, and they kind of
straight.
Yeah, they warp a bit. Yeah,
door frames.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of something to do with anamorphic and not reversing the process. Like they leave it distorted, or there's something they do there. And I hate it when they use it though. I do hate it.
It shouldn't. I
want my door frame straight, please.
Yeah. But a lot of that as well is affected by the perspective of where the camera is shooting from, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's as well.
But you're viewing it from your on the couch or in your bed perspective, but it seems wrong because that's the only way. That's what happens with light when you're recording.
It does look good in some movies though, like horror movies. They do it a lot.
Yeah.
like down the hallway and everything's warped and the
it's kind of warping around the side. Yeah.
and the walls are bleeding or something. Like,
those are my favorite parts. So next we got some film techniques.
Yeah. You want to do those ones? Yeah.
I'll do some. Yeah, we got so we got eye line match, which is actually quite interesting to think about how often that would be used, but you don't realize. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But an eye line match is a cut in filming between two shots that shows an illusion that the character presented in the first shot is looking at an object presented in the second shot. Now, it can be looking at a person, but the object, it's the other.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Almost revealing the object so we know what they're looking at. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's essentially that 180 cut shot that we heard before.
Or sometimes they show them looking at something and they never show us.
And you're like, oh, and it couldn't be intentional because they're trying to lead you to like, what is that? Oh, I need to know.
Mystery.
And you're like, yeah, exactly. Intrigue. Then we got tight framing, which we said earlier.
Yeah.
We got so continuity. This is just I think this is more just to understand what the word means and the term for when it's used in film.
Well, there's a couple of cases you can use this word, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just a simple thing for me. Well, I tend to think of a film continuity as the storyline. Does things add up? Does it make sense that he was carrying a gun when he left the studio, but when he came back, he wasn't? Now, is there a reason for that? Did they address that?
Okay.
Is there?
So you put that as story, and I would put that as just like they forgot to put the cup on the table, or when they went to the
but that's the same thing. But that's the same thing.
Yeah, but you're thinking of it in terms of story, whereas I didn't quite think of it like that until you said that.
Yeah,
and that makes sense. So it fits in the story, not just because if they don't write it in the script.
Yeah, because it's not just this. It's because it's also set design and all that stuff, like props and stuff. Absolutely.
But they make mistakes, but that's not necessarily. It's not always.
Not necessarily they made a mistake. Maybe they just forgot or they left it out or whatever. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah. But what you're saying is it could also be whoever wrote the script forgot to make a point of where did that shotgun go.
Or like why does he know that person? Or exactly. They forgot, they left out something, and there's a continuity error.
See, I've never thought of it like that, which is it's interesting.
Interesting.
When two people talk about different.
I was about to say. That's welcome to the conversation.
And the last one I'll do it because it's the one I really wanted to put in is it's called axis of action, or they call it 180-degree. Rule or something.
Yeah, the 180-degree rule.
So if you've got two actors looking at each other, they like the camera to stay on that 180-degree line. So when you change from perspective, like let's say you and me, you're always on the left and I'm always on the right when they move the camera around. If they go over that line, then it's going to reverse the positions, isn't it? So then you'll be on the other side, and to the viewer, that could be jarring and confusing when you're trying to work out who's who. Yeah,
it'd throw you around a bit. Whereas it feels a bit more native, a bit more intuitive when it is the 180-degree rule.
And some movies break that rule on purpose to add, I don't know what it is, but that adds a sense of something. They do it in fight scenes.
I was just about to say, I like imagining it in a fight scene where it's like... two characters and it's a dance around the set.
Exactly.
It's like they're making sure that it's like as much as all the fights are extremely choreographed, but imagine it outside of the fight itself, but the way that they want to keep them pictured on the screen, is like a dance around that. It's weird thinking about that. Now I'm going to be looking for this rule in movies in the future, aren't I? Like
that's a good example.
Shows specifically.
I mean, we say a lot on this show. We always talk about the Corridor Digital channel.
Yeah.
There's a good episode there where they talk about that rule and they show it in a movie and it being broken in the movie too, which is good.
Yeah.
I have to find that for you later. And then we got some techniques now. So we got undercranking. You found that one interesting, didn't you?
Yeah, I really like this one. I'm going to jump into it.
Yeah, you do it.
This, I thought this is interesting because it makes sense as to how some scenes it looks like they're fighting really fast, but you're like, I don't think they move that fast in real life.
Yeah.
And it's so undercranking is a process of slowing down the camera's frame rate. And so essentially normally they'd shoot 24 frames per second, but they decide to, let's say, even just going down to 20 or 15 or whatever their choice is, when they play back those frames at the normal 24 frames per second, it seems way faster.
Yes.
And so, when they're doing a fight scene, they're actually punching at, let's say, half the speed, but then they replay it back later. It turns into, it looks like they're masters at their craft.
And they can do both. They can crank faster or slower to get different effects that they're trying to do. And if you over crank, then that's essentially slow motion, because then you slow it back down to the correct frame rate. But also, did you know the word undercranking? Do you know where that comes from?
Is it a euphemism for masturbating?
No.
No, I got no idea. Sorry.
Back in the day when cameras were filmed, and a man had to crank the handle.
Oh, manually, yeah.
So you crank it faster or slower, and you get those effects. And that's where it started being used. That's why you get the old black and white movies like The Three Stooges or Charlie Chaplin. They made use of that. And that's where it came from, I believe, was that kind of those cameras.
All right. And so the next one after undercranking, we've got time lapse, which again, pretty self-explanatory, but I think it's nice to just go over. Is picture a nature documentary. They left a camera recording a flower, or at least it seems like it's recording a flower, but what it's actually doing is taking pictures. And then
once a day or something.
And whatever happens once a day, if they're only trying to get an hour into a minute, they probably would just record it. But yeah, exactly. And then they speed it up so it looks like the flower is growing super fast. So we can see its timeline, but normally we don't get to actually view that.
And then usually you see everything in the background rushing about.
Exactly.
A little ant goes flying past.
A tiny, and it's like an F1 car, isn't it?
and so that's like super undercranking, really, isn't it?
Essentially, isn't it? Yeah. No, you're right.
Instead of seconds, you're going down
but wait.
minutes.
It's undercranking in the terms of the ant, and it's overcranking in the terms of the plant, isn't it?
Oh, wow. Yeah. It's like, wow.
Because in the scope of the ant, we've sped it up so fucking fast. I mean, we have sped up the plant. Oh, no, that doesn't quite work.
That kind of makes it like time is just a perspective, you know?
Well, time is just yes, absolutely. Well, I mean, you look at our timeline, we got what, max 100 years usually, and then you look at the timeline of the Earth, you got what, 6 billion roughly years, if you believe it, and then you go, all right, what about the scope of the universe? We're like, was it 16 billion years? They think it's even more than that. Like, it all just depends on where you are right now, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the next two are pretty easy as well. We got deep focus, which means it keeps everything in focus. So the background, the foreground is all kind of in focus.
Now, I feel like a lot of people might understand that.
I don't know how they do that, but yeah.
To compare that with taking pictures for Instagram, let's say, because a lot of people will get that. It essentially takes two photos, one of the furthest focus, one of the closest focus, and it merges the two together. So then you can both see both images essentially.
Well, they like to blur the backgrounds a lot of time too.
Well, I know a lot. That's the opposite. That's so you don't have everything, and which I don't like doing, because then it's like, no, give me all of it. I want to see the whole thing.
So I don't know how they do it in terms of deep focus. I don't know if that's taking multiple photos or if that's a special lens or something. You know, I'm not entirely sure how they do that.
To me, because it literally, I think it just described exactly what I said. It's a technique in photography which permits all distance planes to remain clearly in view or in focus.
Close-up range to infinity, but that's multiple. That's like a variable close-up to infinity.
Because if you're getting that, it'd be like there has to be two separate things record. If you're doing a video. There'd have to be.
I feel like it's maybe just a special lens, but anyway,
I don't think it's a special lens.
If anyone listening knows the answer,
if I can school us, please.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
it's probably not going to happen, but that'd be fucking awesome.
Oh, we can dream.
I'll pretend to be someone and write in.
Oh, well, what you're missing, Ryan, there, you dumbass, is that out of nowhere.
I'll write in. That'd be so funny. So you should notice.
Dude, just write something up and get your mum to read it in or your dad to read it in, you know what I mean? Yeah. Oh, yeah, surely he's anonymous.
And then we also got rack focusing.
Yeah.
Or selective focusing.
Yeah.
So that's when they change the focal point of the camera in a shot. So like you see the like the person's in focus, then they'll change it to the background in focus to make your eye go to that location.
Yeah.
So they'll
Again,
do like
another technique to make sure you're following along their story.
Someone puts a cup down on the table, they focus in on that and everything else blurs out.
Although they haven't changed the view, like it's not about moving away. It's just now they're forcing you to go, oh, look at the drink. Maybe they've spiked it, or like there's something happening here. Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes in movies, I don't like that because they're almost telling me what to do.
Yes,
like,
I agree. I agree. It's like don't touch that, son, and you're like, but I've got to touch it. Let me touch it. And you're like, but don't tell me. I can do it. I'll figure it out.
I want to see everything else in focus too.
Yeah.
I might miss out on something. What are you doing?
Yeah. But that's also a good way for them to hide things if they've got like a shitty set or whatever it happens to be. It doesn't look quite quality. They
it's got
puts things
place.
Out of focus.
It's got its place. I just don't like them trying to tell me exactly what I should be paying attention to.
And it all comes down to us having choice.
Yeah. So and then we got CinemaScope, which is also to do with anamorphic presentation technique that uses an aspect ratio of 2:35:1 or whatever that is. It typically refers to anamorphic techniques of widescreen processes that utilize different magnifications.
Fuck, I don't understand that ratio. I don't get it. I'm trying to picture what it means in my mind.
Because you know how you got like 16:9, and that's your widescreen. It's just three numbers though.
Yeah, see, to me, the 16:9 makes sense because that's like there's 16 at the bottom, 9 on the side, or whatever it happens to be. That makes sense. With like whatever it happens to be, pixels, this or that. But the 3, is that like the focal change? So it's going from a size 2 to a focus of 35 down to a size 1, and that create, like I got no idea how.
Maybe that's a lens ratio and not like a screen size ratio.
Exactly. Yeah, I got no idea.
But because cinema is wider than widescreen.
Yeah.
Because like even on the widescreen TV, a lot of movies have the black bars top and bottom.
Yeah, because it's ultra wide.
And that's, I think, what that ratio means. And then so here's 2 that came under visual effects, which is back projection. And I already knew what this was. I had just forgotten. They actually call it rear projection too.
Yep.
A technique in which a live action scene is filmed in front of a transparent screen where a background is added later. So like an actor in a car. You know how they have the scenery going past the car? You're in the car and you can see they've got like a green screen.
Okay, yeah.
And they've got like the streets going past and other cars. Because there's a car window in the way, they're projecting something from outside the car. They often actually, they don't use green screen. They actually use a projector, don't they?
Yeah.
And they project something on behind the car.
Behind the car. So it's not a CGI.
It's not green screen.
It's a literal back projection or rear projection. Yeah.
Which I already knew that. I just didn't know that the word meant that.
Yeah, that's what that meant. No, you're right. That's the whole point of us doing this, is to associate these terms. Exactly.
And then double exposure, which, I mean, you kind of told me what that was, and I already knew sort of what that was, but they expose the one frame twice so that elements of 2 images are visible within the final product. So it's almost like cutting and pasting, but with two exposures.
Well, this has a nice thing there. It says it results in an effect similar to superimposition, which I think is a good way, because you can make these effects on your Photoshops and stuff. So it's really like if you have 2 images and they're let's say the figure in the center has just moved slightly to the second one.
Oh yeah.
It's got the overlay of both, but you can only just see the second one, or you can decide you can crank it up, crank it down. It's like it does create that ghostly effect.
Yeah, that ghostly effect. So down on the other, if you wanted to scroll down there, I'm just making sure there wasn't any in there we should add now.
Well, I got one. I want to do because it goes back to the Revenant. Let's do juxtaposition.
Oh yeah, what the fuck does that mean? I don't really get that.
Because it's so juxtaposition in film is the contiguous positions of two scenes, objects or characters or images in a sequence to contrast or compare them. So imagine two storylines going together. So the Revenant, we got this tribe looking for their daughter.
Yeah.
Whilst watching Leo trying to flee them in a way. He is trying to flee them. But like it's two separate stories. They are two whole different they're whole different existences that you're comparing the two. It is literally that's what it means. It means to go there's this and there's that. Holy shit.
And like particularly at the start, when they have that brutal scene, you've got the white people and the native people, you know? They're neither of them are bad people. They're in
their own way of life.
Yeah, and that's a perfect example, I think. Yeah. And then just a couple others here. Stock footage, which we all know what that is. That's like they use other people's footage.
Well, you can imagine like a war battle or whatever, and they use some actual footage from World War II, you know, things like that.
Yeah, and they added some stock footage, which is just pre-recorded bits, and they chop it together, like going through a magazine, cutting pictures out.
Yeah, essentially.
Visual effects, which related to the rear projection double exposures, So visual effects is anything added to a movie that was not in the original shot under the subcategory of special effects. They can either be achieved through CGI or through special techniques such as rear projection and double exposures.
Yeah, which I think is nice. Yeah. Because that's essentially a wrap up to everything. That's like a any kind of practical, like anything like that. Because CGI again would be special effects, whereas that's the visual effects.
Yeah. All right.
I think that was a good one.
We do have some more, but we're gonna leave those for next week or some other time.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2 next week. I think most likely anyway. It might change, but that's how life is.
And that'll be on character types and narrators and just metaphors and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think so. That's pretty good. Yeah. We kind of covered the types of shots and the lenses and stuff like that this time. So good to jump into that.
If you haven't yet liked our Facebook page, go ahead and do that only if you want to. We're not trying to force you.
Yeah, or feel like we're forcing you. Whatever gets you to like it, I'd be happy.
And you can leave us a comment or review or...
Again, any suggestions, movie suggestions, or if we got something wrong or you want to actually help us out, like explain to us some of the things we didn't quite understand, that'd be much appreciated by both of us, definitely.
Yeah.
And also, I heard this in another podcast, but just know that if you send us a message or comment on us, it is actually us who replies to you.
Oh yeah, and
I think that's a fun little note.
And at this stage, we don't have many followers, so we will definitely see it. Yeah, we'll definitely see it. You're not wasting your time.
No, I think that's a nice little. Yeah, we will talk about it. Just make sure that make sure to know that you're gonna be on the podcast.
It depends what it is, but yeah.
Oh yeah, obviously. And if it's someone bloody yelling out "Baba Booey," doing something stupid or something, you're like, we don't need that.
Yeah, no, it's going in. All right. Good talking to you.
Yeah, good talking to you, and good talk. Good. I don't know. What do you say? Good talking to you guys, listeners.
Yeah.
I don't know. Hopefully you enjoyed your time.
Thanks
Have a good
listening.
day.
Yeah. See you guys.
See ya.